You're listening to Garden Master Ken Lain and the Top 10 Gardener Podcast. Welcome to the Top 10 Garden Show.
We are back with Lisa Waters-Lane. She comes each week with your garden question. Just what are your neighbors, what are other gardeners talking about? We try to share their questions, and we can feed off that. So, we have these garden classes every week. Last week was gardening for newcomers. The parking lot was packed. I should have gone that long, but they were so engaged.
You kept going.
Went an hour.
Engaged. Yeah.
And then they had an hour. I said, I'll hang out as long as you want, as long as you have questions. And people just hung around, just feeding off each other.
That's good.
That's what we want for this segment. So,
yeah.
Lisa, my gal, welcome.
Well, thank you.
What kind of garden questions we got this week?
Well, we do have some. So David is in Chino. So early this spring, he put out the Arizona Wildflower mix, which he was very happy with. Got lots of pretty flowers. His question is, they're starting to fade. Do you just let them go? Do you cut them back? Can you get more flowers if you cut them back? So what's the best way to handle those wildflowers?
So leave them alone and enjoy them. That's pretty much it. So let them go to seed. So when they're done blooming, they'll go to seed and you'll have more next year. Now, if you want them to bloom some more, this is a mix. So we put together 4 different wildflower mixes for the mountains of Arizona. They are custom blends. Most of them are perennials. Some, if you deadhead them, they will reform another flower. So which ones out of that mix? There's like 24 in the mix. I don't know. I can't tell you which ones. Generally, we recommend that you let them go to seed so that you can spread that prairie wildflower look in the bed. And then at the end of the year, so when it's starting to get dry, so it's fall and the winter's here, it's had a hard frost. Usually we tell folks, take a weed whacker, take a lawnmower, take something violent that just makes the seed spread all over the backyard. And you can encourage them to grow even more next year. So if it really bothers you, Dave, go just deadhead the dead ones. The problem is if you deadhead them and they don't form new flowers, well, they won't reseed for you. But the good thing is that root base, now that plant is not focused on setting a seed. It can put all of its energy into forming a stronger root. So you'll have an actual better plant next spring from that one, say, Mexican hat or Shasta daisy or Gaillardia or whatever you happen to have out there. You can go ahead and just deadhead it and you'll have a stronger plant. It won't spread as much. But if you truly want that wildflower patch to spread, let it go to seed. Just enjoy all the butterflies and the hummingbirds that are going through there because they all love wildflowers. And then next winter, those birds that winter over with you, they're going to enjoy some of those seed as well. So you'll find your bird count goes up, your flowers will go up. I would say don't make a lot of work out of it. You planted a wildflower bed, let it go wild.
Yeah, I agree.
Good.
Okay. Next question is from Sherry in Prescott Valley. She says, I'm having trouble keeping my pots with perennials watered, hydrated, and looking good.
Okay.
What suggestions do you have? And then how frequently should she be watering those pots?
So containers are a bit, you can't say the word pot anymore.
Sorry.
Or
Containers.
Edibles. Can't say edibles or pot over the airwaves, or they'll have a cease and desist. Yeah. Ex-nay of the pate. That sounded
you cracked yourself up,
so bad. Okay, so container gardens. So we were watering hours. We've got dozens and dozens of containers. We were watering them every 3 days, and then it got hot, and they were beautiful. They were fine. Then we just bumped it when it went up to 90 degrees. What was that? 10 days ago, we bumped it to everyday watering. Here's the secret or the mistake I find people make with containers. They can go with too small containers. So if the soil size is just too small, but you're watering 4 or 5 times a day, you can't there's not enough soil to hold moisture and the plants are using it. Right. I would say minimum go with not even 12, go to 14-inch diameter or larger containers so you can increase the soil the plant can grow in. That's going to give you fudge factor, moisture, food for that plant to feed off of when it's hot. So if you're using a big enough size pot, now you want to water it until you see water coming out the bottom, or that weep hole at the bottom. That's the secret. I find a lot of folks don't water their containers enough.
Right.
And so we don't have, it dries out in the bottom. And once that soil starts to dry out in a container, it starts to shrink. And so now you've got a gap around the outer edge of that pot ring. So the soil will shrink. And now you water it again the next time, and water just hits the soil, goes right over that gap between the soil and the pot. And then just goes right to the bottom. And it's hard to recover from that. Don't allow that to happen. And the way you do that is water it and then let the soil hydrate, let it soak up that moisture until you see water seeping out that bottom drainage hole. Then you know, oh, soil's gone all the way through, and that's how you know you've got enough. Okay, it's hot. How often should I water? Well, we just said we just water every day. We've got trees and roses and tomatoes and all kinds of stuff, peppers in containers. We're watering every day because it's just hot right now. It's just warm. And there's a little bit of a breeze. And so things dry out. Once the humidity comes, so the monsoon rains, already you're seeing a few clouds. Plants love some shade that comes from clouds, a humidity that comes up. So once the moisture, summer rains come, that'll take the edge off. Maybe you can back it off to every other day or so. So in the fall, you're definitely backing it off to every 3, 4, 5. In the winter, once a week. It's more than enough.
Would you recommend fertilizing right now, just to kind
definitely.
of keep things going and happy?
Yeah, because you fertilize in the spring, and they've used all that fertilizer up. You've been watering, if you've been watering correctly, you'll water and then water comes out the bottom. You've flushed all those nutrients out of that soil, so that fertilizer that was there, you have to replenish it. So we've fertilized all the containers with 744 all-purpose plant food. And then in addition, so we've got our kids are coming in a couple weeks. We want the backyard to be fully engaged. We want the grandkids just enjoy flowers. We want it to look fabulous. So I fertilized, deadheaded everything. And then I also added to that 744 some flower power. It's a liquid, water-soluble food. And you can use these in conjunction with each other and they don't burn, because you're using organic food with the water-soluble. And 2 weeks out, our container gardens are going to be way over the top. And they're going to be, whoa, that's pretty cool. So nice. That's what we want it to be.
Okay. Excuse me. Next question is from Tom in Prescott. He's talking to his neighbors. Neighbors were telling him about the cicadas and the sound that the cicadas make.
Yeah.
But neither one of them knew if cicadas are bad. Do they eat trees, shrubs, that kind of stuff? Yeah,
no, they're not. They're fine. So don't worry about it. Grubs are bad. Cicadas are not. So cicadas are a summer thing. They're starting to, I haven't quite seen them here at the garden center, but you'll start to hear them sing. They're like real loud, like, where, and they sing in a chorus back and forth. And it's kind of a summer delight that we get to enjoy. They live in the ground for up to 7 years, and they come out as an adult stage. So they live underground as a nymph stage. I don't know what they look like. Never seen one. Real deep. They don't do any real damage. Right. When they come up, they don't even have a mouth part that eats stuff. They're up for one thing and one thing only. Find a mate, lay some eggs, die. That's pretty much their last. They're like salmon swimming upstream. So they're going to do one last thing and then they're gone. Right. So they're not really a problem. They're freaky looking, but they can take a branch out because they lay an egg by shoving the egg underneath the bark. And so you'll see this textured where the eggs are. Sometimes that branch might die, but they don't want that to happen. They want that branch to live so that their young will hatch, drop down. And anyway, don't worry about it, Tom. You're worrying too much. You're okay. Grubs and stuff, that's a little white worm in the soil. Get rid of those. They're bad. All right, that's it for this segment. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back.
Water's Garden companion plants for July are hibiscus, maple, verbena, and crepe myrtle.
Crepe myrtle flowers are intense watermelon pink, solar reds, and LED whites that cover this heat-loving shrub.
Plant where you enjoy its beautiful multicolored bark and sinuous branches up close.
The flowers show against forest green foliage that turns red and orange in autumn.
Growing to just head height, every yard has room for at least one, and only available for summer planting here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. You're listening to Ken Lain, aka the Top 10 Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Family Garden Center. Listen daily as he answers the top 10 questions of the week, streaming on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts.